Aye, what is going on with y'all, man? It is Black Balloon, and I'm coming back with another video, so y'all already know what's going on. Alright, y'all. Now, I figured I would get to this point where we would do like an updated video about Diddy, right? So I'm sure a lot of you guys know that the trial just started today, Monday, May 12th. Some crazy news has come out of the trial. I wish this was one of those trials that was aired live. It really sucks that we have to have visual pictures of the trial and Diddy with his gray hair, you know, live streams from people who are outside the building. It sucks that they're not actually showing this trial live. Y'all already know, man, what's gonna come around with like an updated video just to track what actually came out today during the trial, which was the biggest news about Cassie and how P. Diddy forced escorts to urinate in her mouth. Now, that is just insane. From all of the things that we've heard that he did to Cassie with her being his sex slave, that has to be one of the most foul, disgusting, and, you know, we could really just only imagine how far people's imagination takes them to just do, you know, some of the worst things to people, especially when you're like fully in control of someone and you know you have this kind of power over this woman. You could force her to do anything to fulfill your desires. It is crazy. And just reading it, saying that he actually forced a male escort to pee in her mouth. He forced the escort to do it. You know, I think I've heard of wild stuff, you know, with people peeing on girls' chest and, you know, even taking dumps, a doo-doo on a woman's chest, or women taking dumps on dudes' chest. There's all kind of fetish, wild stuff that people do in this world. It's sick. You know, it's nasty. So I'm not surprised that is something that Diddy did, right? We also got to go over the guy, I think like Jonathan O'Dye or something like that. I want to show y'all, just, y'all gonna remember this clip, but maybe like 30 seconds to a minute of the clip to remind you that he spoke about this back in 2018 in an interrogation that had nothing to do with Diddy, Cassie, none of that. He was like the first porn star, I think, to expose that he worked for Diddy and he had sex with Cassie. So in case y'all don't remember, I'm gonna show y'all that real quick because it's important to the trial. I'm not sure if he's gonna testify or not. I know Cassie is gonna testify Tuesday, May 13th. I'm not sure if I'm getting this video out that day or Monday night, whichever one. She testifies on the 13th, so that would be tomorrow from when I'm recording this video. So more things may come out. Now, I'm not gonna like treat this as a series and try to cover every major news that comes out about the trial, but if anything comes out that is, you know, interesting enough to do a video on, because this is gonna be a very important trial, I definitely will talk about it. But with that being said, I want to show y'all this clip real quick. You know, I've showed it before, so I won't show the whole thing, but this is just to remind y'all and to give you the updated news about the guy who was in that interrogation back in 2018 and how he was paid off to keep quiet. So with that being said, y'all, check this out.
Do you know Sean Combs?
Puff Daddy?
Yeah.
P. Diddy, whatever you call himself these days. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he's part of what's called the Boule. The Boule is a branch of the Illuminati.
Okay.
It's the black people. I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard a lot of business. Because what they would do is Sean talks a lot on the phone and on the TV with speakers and stuff, and I was like a sex slave. Okay, for them that's what I was. That's all. All right. The hip hop agenda is an agenda to move drugs all over the United States. You need to inform the DEA. They move all the dope, all the dope on private jets, which don't get screened by
customs,
by the inside the United States. Okay, they move what's called high grade powder MDMA, they move cocaine, and they move liquid cocaine in their bottles too. Okay, so they put the liquid cocaine in the bottles and they move it. I've seen the liquid cocaine, I've drank it myself, having sex with Diddy and Cassie. Okay, it's not good. He drinks it all the time.
Now, what's crazy is how long this stuff was actually going on before anybody knew. Mind you, that interrogation was in 2018, and it happened because the guy on the right, Jonathan, was causing destruction in one of those Trump hotels in Miami. I think he also shot at the police, so he had kind of like a serious case going on, right? He just decided to start going off about Diddy, hip-hop, the boule, Cassie, him being a sex slave. This was in 2018. Now, something a lot of people didn't notice that also in that interrogation, he mentioned in 2014, he signed an NDA and got paid $5 million. This is also supported by his wife, who said he divorced her around that time because he came into all of that money. Now, I think one of the reasons that he signed the NDA and got the $5 million is because he caught herpes from all of the interactions by being a sex slave, you know, and being a part of Diddy's freak-offs and everything else that was going on, right? So we're talking about 2014 was when he signed the NDA and was paid $5 million. By 2018, him doing whatever he was getting into, you know, at that hotel, Trump Hotel, he decides to just talk about the situation to some random detectives, and that interrogation didn't surface until this whole Diddy thing happened, which would have been about 4 to 5 years later. So what, the Diddy stuff has been going on a little bit over a year now, right? So about 5 years later, everything started to come to light. Now you wonder how certain interrogations like that get swept under the rug. But obviously at that time, I think he was on drugs, you know, so nobody really believed him. You would look at that guy and be like, nah, he just talking some bullshit. But supposedly this is a piece of the NDA right here that's actually signed by Sean Diddy Combs. Says Sean Combs individually and on the behalf of Bad Boy Worldwide, Sean John Enterprises, and all affiliated entities and persons, July 9th, 2014. This is Miami-Dade. This is in Florida. And this is the NDA that was signed with him and the guy Jonathan. So this is real. This actually came out a couple of days ago, and it completely proves what he said back in 2018 when nobody, you know, basically to the public eye knew about this stuff. People in the industry knew. You have to remember, Yash Kara was talking about this stuff over 10 years ago. When he did all those tapes, that was like 15 years ago. That was like the prime YouTube conspiracy days. Actually, just for some context, I'll throw, y'all already know I got the archive of all the Yash Kara stuff. Y'all know we done did those videos, but I'll throw the clip. It's maybe like 30 seconds long where he talks about Cassie being P. Diddy's sex slave. This was even before this guy talked about it. And he already knew what was going on, and it was to the T. This was literally what came out eventually. That's why I said, you know, I'm not surprised about anything Diddy forced her to do, because that stuff got wild. But look, just for context, remember this real quick. Check this out.
She's shaving the side of her head like that woman who drink blood. The last woman who did that was Cassie. And Cassie is gone. Cassie is P. Diddy's slave. Did y'all know that? She is his slave. Oh, yes, she is. Every time you see Cassie with P. Diddy, she got her head down. She carrying bags. She's the mop-up girl. When P. Diddy want to impress him, he's bringing on, he let Cassie go down on him. He let that dude pop her in the butt, and P. Diddy sit back and masturbate while she's being ran in by his partners. Did y'all know that?
So now it makes it even more shocking to hear Yash talk about that when that had to be close to 15 years ago, y'all. It makes it more shocking because back then you have to understand where we were with all of this conspiracy stuff. A lot of people, and I mean 90% of people, chose not to believe it. They listened to people like Yash back then, Black Child, you know, Stranger Than Fiction. A lot of the channels that were posting that kind of stuff back then in the really, you know, like golden era of conspiracy days and YouTube and all the other channels as well. Back then, a lot of people didn't want to believe it, but they listened. And it really was just going one ear and out the other. I think it was just really fascinating for people to hear that kind of stuff. And you fast forward to 2025 and comes to find out that it's true. And it's almost to a point now with Diddy that we're just like, we're brushing this off because we get so much Diddy, freak off for the last like year and a half. We're kind of numb to it now. But think about if this stuff would have came out back when Yash was going in about Diddy and the industry, and Diddy, doing things with Nelly and all these artists who've been talked about as, having freak offs with Diddy way before we knew anything about this stuff. Way before. Think about the impact it would have had on the world back then. What I'm trying to say is like the timing that some of this stuff happens and is being exposed is at a time where it's almost like less shocking. You know what I'm saying? Because in these days, anything is possible. And I'm not saying that it was strategic that they just now put this stuff out about Diddy or allowed it to be released to the public. That could have been strategic, but, in this time, it's less shocking. So, like I say, if this would have happened 10 years ago, this would have been off the charts big. And it still sort of is today. But there's definitely been a fall off of how much people is actually paying attention, or I guess we'll see if those numbers increase during this trial as more things come out that haven't been available to the public. Now, the first day of trial was mostly about the incident that happened in the hotel in 2016. I think they had one other male escort testify that did things with Cassie back in 2012 and 2013. And it was just some of the stuff we already know. Diddy sat in a corner, masturbated, watched them oil each other up, have sex, direct them on what to do, give the man $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, and send him on, about his way. So I think that was pretty much what the first day consisted of. And like I said, them going over some of the incident that happened at the hotel where he was beating the dog shit out of her. And it was quite insane to watch how he beat her like she was a man. Crazy stuff, y'all. So I wasn't going to keep this video long. I wasn't going to make this video long. I really just wanted to jump on here and share those with y'all, especially the clip with the guy whose story was proven by the NDA, Jonathan Adi, or however they say his last name. His story was proven by the NDA that has now surfaced that was worth $5 million back in 2014. So yeah, man, y'all let me know what y'all think about this. If y'all want to see anything else as the trial continues to happen, like I said, if it's something I feel we should talk about, I'll definitely make a video, man. So with that being said, it's Black Balloon, and I'm going to see y'all soon. I'm out.